Welcome to Paradelphia Radio. This is Doug Hoogate Jr., and I'm coming to you here from Toxic Radio Studios. And don't have quite as full house as we did last week, but I am joined in here with Taryn Pruitt. Hello, Taryn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We got to get you used to...
Good as I can be.
I know.
Yeah.
We got to get you used to coming in and be like, hey, but, it's going to take some time. But
yeah,
before you know it, you'll take over and,
definitely going to take some time considering I didn't listen to the show the entire time.
Have you started yet? I am curious.
Not yet. I have not started yet.
I mean,
I will.
I can understand. It's not easy to just...
Yeah, not quite ready
It's
yet.
not like you could just turn it on and be like,
Right.
oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So I definitely understand that. So, but again, we're back. For anybody that tuned in with us last week, we had a big tribute show for Rick, and now we're back doing our regular episodes. As we said, the show will go on always. And tonight, this is actually, it's funny, the last time Rick and I discussed an episode, it was this topic here because I brought it to him, and I've always found it interesting. So tonight, we always hear that term, oh, I'd sell my soul to the devil. I don't think many people, in a sense, would do it realistically or even think that it's a real thing, but apparently there are celebrities, there are musicians that actually claim to have done it. So there's it's interesting because I went over, actually I did the research on this when I was quarantined in the bedroom with my vaccinated COVID-19 thing. I don't need like it drove me nuts for 2 weeks, but doing some research and everything, and it's interesting that these famous people that we see and we hear like on a daily basis actually say, oh yeah, I got this because I sold my soul to the devil. And I mean, they're dead serious. So
I'm super curious to see that list.
So, but we're definitely reading that. But first, real quick, I do have to mention something. I saw this actually not that long ago. So when we do our Para News shows, one of the websites that we get our news from a lot is this unexplainedmysteries.com. And I mean, Nostradamus, everybody kind of in a sense knows who Nostradamus was. He was like the prophecy. They say, thousands of years ago he predicted 9/11 and all this other stuff. Who doesn't, who couldn't do that? But anyway, I guess I've actually never heard of her. I don't know why. It's interesting, but there is a blind mystic, Baba Vanga. And apparently she is this prophecy who she's been dead since 1996, but they're still coming up with predictions that she's making. I don't understand, but I came across it, and she has predictions for 2022.
So what does that mean? They're still coming up with predictions that she's making? So
I guess much like Nostradamus wrote down, she must have wrote down in a book like, okay, in this year, this is what's going to happen. And then in this year, this is what's going to happen. I don't know how far it went, but again, she predicted all of this on a yearly basis. I mean, I think Nostradamus, I actually just recently watched this whole documentary on him, and I've heard of some of the predictions that he's made, but like they really dug deep on what he predicted, and like the earthquakes. I mean, he's talking about to the fault line and how the world's going to end and all this other stuff. And it's amazing some of the stuff that they say he did predict and actually has happened. Either it was just a really good guess or he had some kind of talent there. So
do you mean that they're still discovering things that are happening that she predicted?
Yeah, well, their predictions. So for a rundown from last year, so the prophecies of a dead blind woman from Bulgaria have many believing she can predict the future, and her visions for 2022 are no different. She is known as Nostradamus of the Balkans. Started seeing the future after she mysteriously lost her eyesight during a storm when she was 12 years old. She died in 1996 at the age of 85 and made big claims while she was alive. Not all of them were true, but many were, including the 9/11 terrorist attacks, Brexit, and the rise of the Islamic State. So again, not as extreme as like Nostradamus, but like little specific things. So a recap for 2021. She reportedly saw a cure for cancer, an assassination attempt on Russian President Vladimir Putin, and a dragon seizing humanity, which some believe is a reference to the rising power of China. That's what she predicted last year.
For all of this to happen in 2021.
This should have already happened.
Okay.
But I guess obviously a lot of that didn't. Now, the clairvoyant predicted what could unfold this year. And these are 6 major events that are of concern. So the first one is an increase in catastrophes. So she predicted that Australia and several Asian countries will be hit by intense bouts of floods, resulting in more earthquakes and tsunamis. And I mean, that is happening a lot. I mean, as the earth gets older, as things happen, I mean, every year there seems to be some kind of huge earthquake resulting in a tsunami. I mean, it nothing in a sense to really make me go, wow, at least me personally. But another thing is another lethal virus. So it's the last thing anything wants to hear, especially as the COVID-19 pandemic rages on. But she believed that there is another pandemic discovered in Siberia will emerge, caused by a frozen virus that will be released due to climate change. So apparently something else like COVID-19 is supposed to be coming out, but from Siberia and something to do with the cold. Water shortages. Also, the struggle to access drinking water will become a real in some cities as countries are forced to find alternatives. So, a lot of cities aren't going to have water. Aliens will arrive on Earth. Well, let me read this before I say it. All right. According to her, an asteroid known as Oumuamua will be sent by aliens to explore whether there is life on Earth. But they aren't the nice kind and could take prisoners when they land. It's funny because that's not the first time I have read that this year is supposed to be the year that we're either going to find out, oh, we've been speaking to aliens all this time, or we're going to make some kind of contact. It's interesting. I've been reading that since like around November time. Virtual reality takeover, which I think has already happened. It says, Mike, I knew you would like that one. She envisioned that in 2022, more than any other time, people would spend more time in front of screens. Due to our increasingly addiction to technology, people will begin to confuse fantasy and reality. The metaverse seems a lot less appealing. So, and there's one more locust attack in India. She predicted temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius in India, but also crop attacking locusts will follow, leading to great demise. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring that up within a sense being in the second episode of the year, but we're going to revisit that later on in the year to kind of see, a lot of that, like I said, it was coming true. Virtual reality. I mean, Rick and Mike, I think Mike brought it to Rick's attention on a show that I wasn't here on, but in November when we did a show, Mike brought up this thing where a woman lost her child, passed away, and they were able to virtual reality. She put on a virtual reality unit and interact with her child. Like they were able to take her, her features and everything. And I was like in awe with that. So like that is something that is, I guess in a sense, a closure type thing. I mean, you could look at it two different ways, I guess. It'd be a type of a closure, but
sounds
have
like a
to
Black
obviously
Mirror
be
episode.
Right. But they're coming out with that. I mean, when he showed that on a show, I was like, oh my gosh, like they actually have that. So it's interesting. I mean, all these prophecies, all these predictions that come out, we'll see what happens. I mean, again, a lot of this, it's like, it seems like it's happening every year. So it's hard to say. But, I mean, if it's going to get to a point where people can't tell what's real and what's, fake technology, that does kind of get a little scary there. So
or amazing.
Well, yeah.
Amazing.
I mean,
true.
To an extent.
Parts of that are definitely amazing.
Right, but you don't want to be driving in your car and forget you're really driving and thinking you're playing GTA and start crashing into everybody.
Well, I mean, if your car, like the Teslas, has the ability to take over and to be able to have spatial recognition
Right.
of the other cars around you and to keep you from actually crashing or anything and take over the wheel, or you have screens in your car that enable you to play GTA and have the display on your screen while you're driving, but in the outside world you're actually driving super safe because your car is taking control. Then bam, in your face.
Right. Well, no, it's funny you say that, because you know those moments where you come up with an idea like a while
Did you just
ago.
have one? Are you going on Shark Tank now?
Well, no, because it's too late now. They would look at me and laugh in general. But I swear, when I was a kid, before I even drove, I used to say, there's got to be a way that a car can drive itself. And I would, like, when I learn to drive, I'll just sleep when I'm on my way to go somewhere. And then, of course, they have, like, I've seen, like Tesla, like you said, it can literally go into autopilot and drive itself. I mean, I even read rideshare. Their big goal coming out sometime is to actually not have drivers. They're actually going to have, and I think they have that.
Well, that was the
already.
whole business plan. The actual reason for Uber existing was, at the bare bones of it all, was their business plan was to eventually get rid of the drivers and just have cars that can go pick up people and drive them to their destinations as they request them. Which also becomes like a ghost riding type thing.
Right. And that was the thing. You kind of think about that. Like, I mean, anything new obviously would freak people out. But imagine if you needed to use that service and all of a sudden a car pulls up and there's no driver and you're just like getting in. I mean, that would just be surreal to me.
Now, for somebody like you that has done ghost investigations and knows how the paranormal can access electronics and electronical devices, does that ever enter your brain of someone from the beyond taking control of the electric car or some of these devices that you're trying to, or even, as you said, taking over VR and being able to show themselves in a virtual reality state, which you wouldn't even, it would just seem normal to you.
And it's with the virtual reality thing. I think Rick and I discussed this one time. I can't remember if it was a show or not, but
there was a TV show. It was called Upload.
Where you couldn't tell someone.
I did too.
Really, I was good. Yeah, where someone, like you just said, had virtual reality, and it was a spirit or a ghost, and they could manipulate it, just like you said, like. They can manipulate electronics, and just like anything else, in time it learns, because again, they are just like us, just not in a physical form. So, as time goes on, it manipulates it, and then I mean, you hope you don't get a pissed off spirit, and all of a sudden you want to take over a car driving on its own and crash into a pole or something like that. But I mean, all those things are very well possible, and that virtual reality thing, you're right. It's like, okay. To you think you're interacting with someone, especially in one of the group online games simulations. How would you know if you're actually playing with a living person or someone from the other side? So it's nuts. So I would hope that the ghost would say, excuse me, not that, that the ghost would say, hey guys,
I'm a ghost.
I'm a ghost.
The ghost would cough and say sorry.
Yes. And he coughed. That's the important part of it.
If the ghost is playing a video game, he will curse you off. He will have the voice of a 12-year-old and then tell you your mom's yeah.
But think about it. If you could be a ghost, I mean, you'd have all the time in the world to play video games, And you could access
That's
any
my dream.
video. You could
That's a
access
possibility.
any video game
That
you
is
wanted.
the TV show Upload. I just get
right.
to play video games for the rest of my life.
Like you could,
rest of the beyond.
Right, you could be the guy with the chainsaw chopping all these people up and everything. I mean, that's... Well, we know where you're going.
Wait a minute, what guy with the chainsaw? Where did that even come
which
from?
I was
chainsaw?
going
Which
back
one are we going to?
I'm sorry, I was going back to GTA again. Like
They have chainsaws in GTA?
I'm not up. Listen,
I
the
don't know.
last video game I played was
They don't
like
have chainsaws in
Vice City,
GTA.
when you could carry around a damn chainsaw. I'm still talking about the
There's a
time.
lot of stuff in GTA,
Yeah.
but chainsaws, I don't think.
No, there was a chainsaw. You could go around. You could put.
Apparently,
Really?
we didn't get to the chainsaw
You
level.
could put
Apparently
the
not.
cheat code in where you got the bazooka.
Oh, so you were using the
it's a
cheat
cheat
code.
code.
Well, I'm not, hey,
Oh.
look, I'm not going to lie. Look, the last game I played, I think, was San Andreas. So that's how far behind I am. Hell, I put on my son's Ovilus and was like...
Ovulus?
The Oculus, I'm sorry.
Did you say
Ovilus. See?
Ovilus?
That's what I'm
I
talking
put on
about. The oculus.
I put on his ovulum. His ovulum.
Maybe it was ovulating.
It was ovulating. Yeah, right. Now that would be scary.
So I'm gonna leave
Maybe
with this.
Doug's ovulating.
I feel like I'm saying too much, but I'm gonna leave with this. So in the VR world, they are coming out with a GTA version where you can be inside of GTA.
Now, see,
I'll leave that with you, and I'll just step aside.
No, that's intriguing. Because again, I'm so far out of it. Like that, I play San Andreas. I've never done the whole like playing with people online and everything like that. You know, I've always played with myself. I'll leave that at everyone too. Anyway, all right. So moving on now.
He's taking a drink. There's equipment in here, and he had to go there.
What? I just said I play with myself all the time. Back then. Anyway,
that's
all right. So
more than I ever want to know about you, Doug.
Well, you sound like your husband.
Do I? Maybe I'm channeling him.
Exactly. He's sitting right here just going, moving on, let's go.
He's coming in, he's like, what's my wife doing in my seat?
That's all right. So anyway, all right, so on to the topic tonight. So, again, I think I got a huge interest in this because I saw an interview, I think it was Bob Dylan, years ago, and it like just popped up out of nowhere. And he actually sat and spoke, like someone asked him, when did you discover your talent? And he started laughing, and he just like was kind of hesitant about it. And the interviewer actually had said to him something about, did you make an arrangement? And he was just like, yeah, with the devil himself. And then he's dead serious about it. It intrigued me. So then I had thought, how many other people claim to have do that? So and it's funny because a lot of it is all musicians. So I found I found all kinds of things, but this one in particular. So this is the most intriguing. It's the top 10 musicians who sold their soul to the devil. So it says, learning to play a musical instrument takes hard work, practice, and patience, and more practice, but that can be a drag. The devil is believed to be found fond of music, which is not surprising. After all, he does have all the best tunes. Lucifer is said to have a special affinity to stringed instruments, particularly violins and guitars. I mean, think about it. Devil Went Down to Georgia. I mean, that's classic, Mm-hmm. In exchange for just one soul, any condition, the Prince of Darkness can teach you how to really play that guitar. He can make you a star. You might think that no one would take him up on this offer, but we have found at least 10 musicians who allegedly thought that this was a great deal. All right, so number 10, Jimmy Page. It says legendary Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page. He was a student of the occult for a while. He bought Aleister Crowley's, I'm probably saying that wrong, where goes my musical knowledge, an old home in Loch Ness, which he believed was haunted. He often talked about the strange experiences he had there. He followed Crowley's occultist teachings about focusing your intentions on what you want to get out of life. Apparently, Jimmy just wanted to play a mean guitar, and he certainly got that wish. He claimed that he had sold his soul to the devil to get such fast fingers, to which he said that he had to form the rest of the band. He never, or as it say, it's like there was never an exact denial from Page. This may be the origin of the myth that if you play Stairway to Heaven backwards, you can hear demonic voices speaking or something.
You say that about Def Leppard, one of the Def Leppard songs too.
There's all kinds of songs, like playing it backwards on the old vinyl, and Ozzy is another one. That's so Jimmy Page, he's the first one on our list. So, all right, next. Now, Robert Johnson. Now, this is from like back in the 30s, but every time you search "sold soul to the devil," this guy's name comes up. Robert Johnson is probably the most famous soul in the Devil's collection. So sometime during
the 30s?
This is the 30s. Yep.
Because I've never heard of him.
Right. Common name, but sometime during the 1930s, he's said to have met the devil, allegedly at the Clarksdale Crossroads. He was said to have been a decent harmonica player, but a terrible guitarist. Then he disappeared for a few weeks. He is supposed to have taken his guitar to the crossroads in Mississippi, where the devil returned his guitar and gave him a few lessons. When he returned, his terrible guitar technique was now described as masterful. When Robert Johnson died in 1938 at the age of 27, the rumor became a fact that Johnson is now known officially as the Devil's Bluesman. Now, that takes me to another thing that, like, Melly and I talk about all the time. You know, she loves Prince and David Bowie. And, you know, we're actually going to be getting to David Bowie. It's like, all of these young people, like, it's always, again, the same thing. You see, you know, they pass away mostly, like, drugs or committing suicide or something like that. And you wonder if this is all accurate and true. Like, was the deal, like, okay,
we're going to make so many years.
Right. I'm going to make you famous, but it's almost like the movie Ghost Rider. Or the, you know, I will come and cash in when I need you or when I want. So they make this deal thinking they're going to have a lifetime of just fame, and they're like, oh, okay, no big deal. All of a sudden, they're in their 20s, and it's just like, I need it now. And they're just like, well, wait a minute. You know, it's only been a couple of years. It's like, hey, you made the deal. I didn't give you a set time. It's always fascinating to think about that. I mean, people like Prince and David Bowie, they didn't die in their 20s, but again, just the irony of it all.
Yeah, but they died. Well, how old was David Bowie? Prince was young.
Yeah, Prince, I think, was in his 50s.
Yeah.
Melly would be able to tell you, like, because in fact, Prince actually, like, passed away a month before Melly's, like, dad passed away. And, I mean, but like I said, she'll be able to be, Bowie, I think, was, like, 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And then Prince was, he was in his 50s. He wasn't very old. But yeah, so. All right, so next, John Lennon. John Lennon is famous for saying that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. So we already knew how he felt on that. One Beatles scholar, however, has spent many years interpreting hidden messages and symbols in John Lennon's music, artwork, and album covers, and he believes that he has evidence that Lennon actually sold his soul to the devil. He follows an apparently fascinating trail of sorcery, mysticism, numerology, and theology that explained his theory, as well as the slightly less reliable mystical science of anagrams and listening to songs backwards. So there's a good chance that this Beatles scholar is a little bit nuts, but then again, who are we to judge? Lennon allegedly signed his pact with Lucifer sometime around December of 1960, shortly before the first known outbreak of that well-known viral disease, Beatlemania. If true, it seems particularly hard on Lennon, as the other three band members presumably managed to keep their souls intact while still sharing the glory. Lennon was promised 20 years of success before the devil reclaimed his own. Lennon died on December 7th of 1980. So again, another example. How would we ever know, of course, but hey, when it's time to cash in, if that's the truth, it's going to happen, because it's always least expected in the most cases.
So in this whole conversation, though, we're assuming that the devil, we're thinking of the devil as the traditional view of the devil, but this is a paranormal show, so there are other views and perceptions and interpretations of what the devil could actually be. Like,
and absolutely. You know. Right. I mean, when we and
I don't know what those are because I didn't listen to the show, but I imagine that if Rick were here and you were talking to him, he would know. So I'm trying to throw it out there.
And it's great you bring that up, because when you think of things like selling your soul, so to speak, I mean, a big thing that a lot of celebrities and musicians, there's claims that they're all like in the Illuminati. The Illuminati, I mean, that was this whole big thing that they, in a sense, outlawed back in the end of the 1800s. But if you go and you look at all of these like celebrities, they say that they have all these symbols in like their album work, their music videos, in their songs, and that they call, in a sense, of devil worshiping. So it's kind of like, if someone is worships, if they're Satanist and they worship the devil, is that an interpretation of, oh, okay, I sold my soul? So you don't look at it as, like the story with Robert Johnson. You're not going to a crossroad, start playing, and this, creature pops up and says, oh, okay, I'll let this happen, and you'll be talented the rest of your life. I mean, like you said, it could be all kinds of like symbols. I mean, the Illuminati, that is a big one. That it's, oh, if you worship the devil, if you are a Satan worshiper, boom, you've in a sense sold your soul to the devil. And it's like realistic. It's like directly but indirectly.
And there's also the theory that the Illuminati are the people that know the truth about what happens.
Exactly.
And that the selling your soul to the devil really could be the story that they're telling because they're trying to hide some truth that, for whatever reason, maybe these people are in on.
Right. And that's what's crazy too, because again, you have all these people where, there's celebrities that they'll question. Like, are you in the Illuminati? I mean, we're talking like Kanye West. Jay-Z's a big one. Jay-Z is a big one that, like, is supposedly, like, this lord of the Illuminati and everything. And it's always a deny. But, of course, I mean, nobody's going to sit there and come out and say, oh, yeah, I'm in it. But it's one thing that's interesting is what is portrayed as worshiping or being in the Illuminati nowadays is completely different to what it was back when it was, in a sense, a out in the open thing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's so many translations to it, but it is interesting and it is amazing how many, again, like it's all like celebrities and people that, I mean, it's almost like Scientology. I mean, it's a little bit deeper and darker than I think Scientology, as crazy as that sounds, because Scientology is an actual religion that these people follow. And the Illuminati is this top secret thing. But again, that secrecy, they only, like you said, they only know themselves what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's like they're denying it, but they're putting it out there. If that's what they're doing, it's like, oh no, we're not part of it, but here's all the little signs that say we are. So it's definitely interesting. This next one got me is Snoop Dogg. I mean, Snoop Dogg's just been out there all his life, so I mean, All right, so usually these devil soul transactions are shrouded in secrecy. Occasionally, however, a performer comes along who is happy to talk about it, or even sing about it. Snoop Dogg admits that at a time he was in a dark place, he heard a voice say, "Bring your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better." Snoop Dogg asked how long he would live, and the voice cried back, "Eternal and forever." Sounds like a good deal. There is some evidence that the artist at first believed he was making a pact with God, but was tricked by the devil. Or perhaps it's just a song, you decide. And I think in some of these cases too, where you have musicians, they'll put in a lyric, or they might have like a common lyric or write a song about something, and all of a sudden, conspiracy theorists, people translated it to, oh, they just announced that they did this or they worship this. So a lot of that, I mean, that's where looking at it as directly coming from the source, the person, if they're saying, yeah, I sold my soul, and their reaction to it, or I mean, like who was it? Katy Perry, I think. She had mentioned in an interview I had read when I was doing research how she was saying, oh yeah, I sold my, but she was doing it in a joking manner. And not only that, I think she came from a religious family. Not that that makes a difference, but again, you know how people are. They'll take something and they'll run with it, and that's it. So that could be very well a case with that. I mean, somebody like Snoop Dogg, we'll see.
And Snoop Dogg, isn't he? I just recently saw something about this, that he, like, some people blame him for the Tupac thing because he said, I only saw like a commercial for the show or something, but he said he said he was cool with the West Coast guys or something like that, and he pissed off the head guy. I can't remember his name.
They're still having that battle, the East versus West Coast thing. From
no, I know what you mean, but this was like a documentary about it that I saw like a commercial for, and I just thought it looked interesting.
Actually, that does sound interesting. I need to find that.
I'm just wondering if that's somehow connected too, because I know like some people. Right. Because it sounded like some people like blame him for the whole Tupac.
Oh, right. Thing. I mean, very well could be. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't heard that, but again, I haven't seen anything like that. I mean, but that does sound interesting. I need to find that documentary because that You know what I mean? That does sound cool.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sorry. You know what? It's not a documentary. It's one of those. It's the Jada Pinkett Smith. It was the Red Table Talk. She had a sit down with Snoop, and they were
gotcha. They were kind of talking about. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I knew I saw something somewhere.
I was gonna say. I mean, not saying he doesn't know what happened, whether it was him or not, but you know, that's a whole nother story. Okay.
East Coast.
I know. Are you East or West Coast? East. Anyway, whatever. I'm so white. Anyway.
Title of the show. I'm so white.
All right. So next one here, the Rolling Stones. In 1968, the Rolling Stones released a new album that confirmed every parent's darkest suspicion. Rock and roll was indeed the devil's music. The opening song for Beggar's Banquet was, of course, Sympathy for the Devil. Keith Richards told Rolling Stone magazine that some people saw him as acting as an unknown agent of Lucifer, while others think we are Lucifer. Either way, they are trouble. Some of their fans, however, really bought into the Satanic Majesties thing, the title of their previous album. In particular, the Hells Angels lapped it up. If it was possible for an illegal biker gang to have an official anthem, Sympathy for the Devil was it. They provided security for the Stones at Free Music Festival. Trouble erupted during that song, and a short time later, a teenage boy was stabbed to death. Although the song was not directly linked with the stabbing, the Stones didn't play the song live again for a long time. The Stones have been dodged by rumors of devil worshipping ever since, possibly because of secret messages embedded in their music, or possibly because of the large horn devil's head tattooed on Mick's chest. So again, like I mentioned with the last one, you know, with lyrics to songs, I mean, you come out with a song, you discuss anything with your lyrics, it's like it's automatically translated to, oh my God, they worship the devil, or they sold their soul.
Well, that's all the right wing religious.
And one thing, but one thing else. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
No, yeah, right.
What is the negative to selling your soul to the devil?
What is
the negative?
I was going to ask
Genevieve
that.
Should be here for this conversation.
I was going to bring that up at the end of all of this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine, because that's the ultimate question here. Is no one really knows if you sell your soul. Everyone, in a sense, assumes that you sell your soul, and all of a sudden you're in freaking burning brim style forever.
Right.
How do you know you're not going to just party?
Flames
for you get what I mean?
Let's go with let's go with the norm. So you're going to burn and whatever.
Well, supposedly you don't have that suffering. I've always wondered that, but go ahead.
Let's just say you do.
Okay.
And some people think that this is hell, right?
Right. Yeah, some people think this is hell.
Right.
Also, you look at when you go down the religious road and you look at what it takes to get into heaven, if you follow the actual gospel and what you have to do and tote the line and actually stay within the guidelines as it's stated, and then you go to those the people you want to go chill with for the rest of eternity.
Right.
And it's a back and forth, but I'm like, if the here and now, your life as it stands, here with on earth, your reality, if somebody were to come to you and tell you, I'm going to give you whatever you want, you have to sell me your soul.
Right.
What does that mean? I just own it. I don't do anything with it. I'm not gonna have it in my back pocket.
That was a movie or something. I think it was said that before. Be like, oh, you can have it. I don't know what it is. I've never seen it or something.
But the whole thing is like, I just own it. I have a deed to your soul, and you get to be and do whatever you want. Why would you not take that?
Right.
The whole idea of burning, especially for individuals, because anybody who would want and yearn for the absolutes of like what you'd be selling your soul for, whether it's fame, money, or just being the best that you could possibly be at your passion. Mm-hmm. These are all things that anybody in a religious sense would be like, why are you doing that? Just tote the line.
Right.
So you're already going to hell anyway.
Right.
In that realm of thinking.
Because obviously if you have any thought like that, like you said, it's a sin.
Right.
Right.
I mean, to my thought process, it's most of all of these, wives' tale thought process of like selling your soul is something from back in the day where jealous people had to just kind of give a reason why that person got higher up than
or
they
people that
did.
are trying to control them.
Right. So it's jealousy that made them go, well, they sold their soul to the devil, and then other people go, oh my God, they're the most horrible person in the world.
Right.
But at the same time, if Toxic took off and I became like the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar radio station,
well, just your
I would 100%
now.
go on air and go, I sold my soul to the devil.
Well, look at your success now. I mean, I would say, did you sell your soul? And now, but
no, they said it was tainted. They didn't want it.
See,
they said it was a dirty soul.
When hell doesn't even want you.
They said it was a dirty. They said it was tainted.
I'd be like, you need to get your own place.
But I'm sorry that I kind of blew your spot before you got there.
There is no blown spot. You know the show. Come on now.
Mike just wants to make sure we all know he'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints.
I know. I think you secretly read Bible. He secretly reads the Bible before bed. Not that it's wrong with anybody that does that.
I know.
We're talking about Mike. We're talking about Mike, Skeptic Mike, who he's.
I'm reading TikTok before I go to bed, trying to find the nastiest thing, and then go turn over to Laura and go, look.
You look at your alarm clock?
Dr. Pimple Popper, look at this.
TikTok.
Oh, I like
clock.
that too.
I'm the only one that doesn't have TikTok.
You need to get on it.
I actually
once you get past the whole fact that it's for the kids, and then you realize that there's a lot of adults on there, and you can find your little niche.
Right.
Because like Laura's timeline, like every time she swipes, it's like a man with a fire hose and sweaty body and big nipples. But and mine's all like VR nerdy stuff and like entrepreneurs. So it becomes whatever you like. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, my kids told me I wasn't allowed to download it because they're on TikTok, and I was like, I need to download it, and they're just like,
don't
no,
think you're cool enough.
I know. Since when did me not be cool enough?
Here's how you here's how you combat that. Not only do you download it,
I already told them.
But you start uploading TikToks.
I sent it, right.
Of just stupid things that get like 1 or 2 views.
I told them I was going to send them messages like, Daddy loves you, and
then you message them to their friends.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, I don't see, somebody says they sold their soul to the devil, that means that they're doing something spectacular.
Right. And
they're doing something that other people want to be doing.
Right.
They're extraordinary. They've reached the pinnacle of whatever their little, outline in the world is.
And because it didn't happen to them, then there must have been something bad that they've done, like, especially if somebody instantly, just in general, like, let's look at something more common. If someone becomes extremely wealthy for whatever, and there's no source of how, it could be something as, they must have started selling drugs or something. I don't know, something off the top of my head, just the little excuses that if it just doesn't seem normal. There's no such thing as like just being successful. Like either sold your soul in this case that dwells back to, again, the 30s and beyond to, I don't know. And that's exactly what I was going to bring up is like, is it really a bad thing? How do we know selling your soul, if that's what's really happening here, a bad thing?
Mm-hmm. And if anybody wants to buy my soul, I'm having a sale. And you can contact me.
Clearance sale, Mike's soul.
It's damaged. It's been through the ringer.
Yeah.
It's got some stains.
I was going to say. And that's what cracks me up, too. All the people in this world and all the shit everybody goes through. Like, how many actual good souls are there? I mean, to be honest. That's your sentimental thought for the night. Write that down.
And with ghosts, with the paranormal, and I know that the whole idea is that they're... The reason why we're able to communicate with them is because they're between the realm of what people would consider heaven and hell.
Right.
Has there ever been a paranormal investigation, whatever, Gene Durkin, medium, whatever, where they've talked, where somebody has come through and said that they were actually coming through from
like
a
hell.
place of a heaven or hell?
That's actually, it's interesting. I mean, I know Gene, so, and you get that with a lot of communication. Because, again, when we go in and we investigate locations, we're just trying to see if that location, so-called, has anything there. Mm-hmm. We're not opening up to being like, what's all around? If we're trying to either disprove or see if we're capturing whatever's there. In a case like Gene, where she's, in a sense, opening herself up. Yeah, you're right. Like, okay, you're communicating with, in a sense, people who can do that, but are they from what side? If there are sides, what side are they coming from? Or are you forbidden from speaking if you're on that in a so-called hell side? I mean, you don't really hear much about the bad. Like, you don't ever really hear much of, like, a psychic medium saying, well, I'm getting someone who says that it absolutely sucks over here.
Exactly. You never get somebody who's like, this is horrible. This is the worst thing ever. It's usually, I'm good.
It's all like a
I want the best
thing
for you. But I would love to know with individuals.
I want to ask her that, because that is a good question. That's a very good question.
Because with these people with these special abilities, from what I've understood, there are certain levels to it. Like somebody who's just starting out, somebody who's a veteran at it, and somebody who's like a master. You know what I mean?
Right. Depends on how long you've been on that side. Right?
Is there a level, a frequency, if you will, to be able to tune that in to reach deeper into it to get somebody from one of those realms? Whether, again, we call it heaven or hell, but whatever it is, the demon or bad or good, whatever it is there a way to touch into that and have these people from the other side, these spirits, ever confirmed or denied that there was such a place that they were waiting to cross over to?
Right, and that is and again, that's what's interesting, because again, it's always positive. But I would think, like with me, when my time comes, and if I come to, or whatever the case is, and I'm like, all right, what can I do, and what can I do here? I mean, I think one of the things I want to obviously do is be able to get it out, like, okay, it's boring over here, or okay, it is shitty over here. I mean, all the people who pass and all the people that supposedly come through, you're right. Where is that person that is saying, yes, here's the deal. If we're talking to you, we're stuck here. If we're not talking to you, we're either in a bad place or a good place. But you're right. I mean, obviously that's something that she would have to take, because there is never that question is never answered with it. Yeah. As to it's always just, oh, they're lining up and they're coming through. They're saying this and they're saying that. And it's all this, oh, they're validating that it's them by this. Okay, well, here's what I want to know. Like, just flat out tell me, is heaven and hell, does this exist? Mm-hmm. You should be able to answer that at least.
Well, maybe neither one of them do. Maybe the concept that we have is totally off.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and that's the whole idea. Because one thing I always say myself, I don't say I'm atheist. I don't say I don't believe. Like, I look at it as the possibilities are endless, and we're going to find out when our time comes, Mm-hmm. And I don't think that, hey, if the time comes and, hey, it was right all along, there is a God and there is a devil, I don't really think I'm going to be punished for my life with questioning, well, what is, like, it's like I said too, if we're being controlled, if we're all avatars being controlled by 5-year-old aliens, for that case, it's, yeah, I know, right? I want to know what my what my
5-year-old's got some weird sense of humor.
I was going to say mine's put me through some shit, because but you're right, yeah. Like, of all the people that are able to come through, why don't you hear more of, man, this is the worst damn thing that could have freaking happened. Don't die.
Or what I would like to hear is, like, somebody come through and go, just go off and curse off the person that's trying to reach out to them.
Right.
Because there are people that, once somebody passes, plays the card of, I was so close to that person, I love that person. Right. Whereas the person who passed away, hadn't talked to them for a year, they really thinks they're an asshole, and is like, what the hell are you doing here?
I know, like, why exactly? Because there are people out there. Why
are you bothering me?
Why are you exactly? Why are you bothering me?
Wait a minute. Why are you using my death as a way to bring attention to yourself, in a sense? Because people are like that.
And then watch as the person just leaves the room with their head down.
I know, it's
and the spirit is going, yeah, get out.
Right. That's the thing. Where aren't you getting? Okay, I'm getting this person is saying they never liked you. You're a piece of shit, and they don't want to talk to you, so stop asking about it. Like, everything's always positive, and you can't tell me that if we're supposed to be who we are now just not in our physical form over there.
It's supposed to be.
It's going to still be the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
you just get over there, and all of a sudden you're just filled with rainbows and
I know it's just like
pillows and
it's like everybody's on like it's like a 24/7 acid trip.
Acid trip,
like,
nonstop.
Exactly. They're like, yo.
By the way,
man.
do you have any acid?
Yeah, right. What? Acid reduction, like acid reflux.
I've got acid reflux. That's what it is as an adult. Yeah. We no longer have acid that we're going to take.
Like,
it's acid
you
reflux.
have acid reflux. Yeah, exactly. But next time Gene's on, that's a very excellent question because it's always positive.
It's the only kind of questions I have.
See?
Well, I for one like to think of my husband as still being a smart ass.
And he's still right. He's still Rick, just like we are still who we are.
So I hope that he's not all rainbows and butterflies. I hope that he's.
I could never say it.
He comes through his rainbows and butterflies. He's like, never mind, get out of here.
He's like, go away. Yo, guys, what's up?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm floating over here. You know what I mean? Like, well, no, because again, I'm not going to lie. Everything does get contradicting. That's why, again, with what I do with investigating, that's why I stick to. You need a place to investigate. Let's see what's going on here. Like, because it does all contradict itself a lot. You know, you hear that we are who we are even on that side, but yet when we supposedly reach out, it doesn't sound like who we are. And
well, it does. My very first reading that I ever got from Jean, she channeled my grandmother.
Right. Well, no. All right. Go ahead.
My grandmother was sort of getting annoyed with me at one point because I'm pretty skeptical too. I'm a lot like Mike. So, you know, I think I don't remember, it was just a number of years ago, but Jean was laughing because my grandmother came through to her in such a way that she was like, you know, what questions you have?
Kind of like what he just said. Like, that's who she was, so that's how she's coming out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's it, because it's like I said, I have spoken to, like, doing what I've been reached out by many people who are claimed to be psychic medium. And that's the one thing I'll say about Jean. Jean has surprised and amazed me so many times that I legitimately, she has some gift. She is able to do something, or because, I mean, like I said, I've seen her do things that, how in the hell do you possibly know that? And it goes beyond the whole, just taking general information and doing. And not only that, we know Jean now to the point that, you know, if she was somebody to, like, be, you know, they say, like, psychic mediums will stare at you and look at your facial expressions, you know? Like, I've never seen Jean sit there and, like, stare at me going, how are you reacting? You know, like looking hard into my face, because I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, so there's definitely something there, absolutely. But there are, I mean, you see these boardwalk freaking palm readers who, like, they'll look at you and be like, I had a palm reader tell me once when I was 18 years old that by the time I was 30, I was going to be making decent money. Have 3 kids. And you do. Which I do. I have 3 kids. See? But that's about all that was correct with it all. She told me like 4 different things, and all I remember is I was going to have a lot of money by the time I was 30. But I think she told every person ahead of me that too.
But is it a lot of money relative to somebody who has none?
That is true. See? What is a lot of money?
Yeah, exactly.
Like what is? All right, compared to the homeless man that you drive past, right. I have a lot of money.
You have a lot of money, say.
So
it's relative.
I'm all,
the one thing I remember that Rick did want, and I've never done it, was for Jean to give me a reading.
Oh, yeah.
I never wanted to do it.
He's always...
Because I feel like, this is no disrespect to her
Jean
at all.
even wants to do it.
She wants to do it, and she wants to do it. But no disrespect to her, I feel like I would just laugh the whole time. I just pick, like, I'm too goofy, I'm too ball busting, I'm too skeptical, that I feel like I would just be, it would come off as disrespectful.
You don't want to be rude
I don't mean to be rude to her. I don't mean to be disrespectful to her as a person, but I don't believe in the process.
Right.
But she knows that.
Which then makes it where it would be totally disrespectful. It's like somebody sitting here watching me do the board and just be like, hey, that's stupid. What are you doing? That's wrong.
I think that during the show, but, you know, I'm just Meanwhile,
I thought you were staring into my face.
Meanwhile, you're doing that, getting my voice out. So I don't know how stupid.
But that is something.
She never read Rick either. She never.
But Rick did have. You guys did go to individuals who would do the past life.
We did other.
So
things,
you guys did things in that realm.
Yeah. Just Gene.
Just not with.
We never had Gene reader.
There.
But I think that I will one day do that.
And we're gonna do. If we don't do it live on the air, we're gonna record it.
Yeah, we're gonna record it, just to put that period at the end of that sentence that never got finished, and
I'd be very curious to see what happens.
All I know is if she can,
I start crying.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, maybe we can make Mike into a believer.
Well, that's fun.
I'll be a believer first.
I remember I took Gene to like this investigation, and they, like I say it all the time. There was a dude. He was like shorter than I was, but the dude was like buff as hell, and like he could literally like freaking beat up a pickup truck outside. I don't know, but anyway. She started doing something and brought up some accident that he had that he never told anybody or something like that, like specific. And she literally like brought this guy down, like crying, like in tears, sobbing. And again, it's
like
amazing.
A random person.
No,
just the random people at the supermarket.
I had her. It wasn't long after I met her. I had her come in on an investigation. I was doing a private home.
Okay.
And I wanted to see if she wanted to just kind of compare notes with different things, and she started doing this reading, and she started bringing stuff up to this guy, like specific stuff, to where he was like, "I've never even told my wife that." And again, it'd be a different story if maybe I knew more about the guy, but I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it definitely there's things that are intriguing. The only type experience that I will say, in fact, Melly and I were just talking about this, Noble. I remember when we did an episode once. We spoke to the one lady. She was a hypnotist. And I remember I went because I wanted to see if I could get hypnotized, which I think my mind wanders too much. Never could happen. I will sit here and say it was, because even as I was sitting there, I'm like, this isn't going to work. What I can describe it as is it's like I knew I was sitting in a chair, but it was like I was having a dream, like I was seeing things. But I knew I was in a chair, like, and I don't know, like, I guess it was like being on an acid trip without taking acid. Like, that is the one time I didn't think I'd be able to be hypnotized. And I can legitimately say that I was sitting in a chair, but I was, like, somewhere else. And it was nuts. So. Did
you ever do one of those regressions with
No, that's one thing I've never done, because I know Rick had done that.
We did that. We went up to, both of us went and did it.
So, but yeah, so anyway, with all of that being said, as I was going to say amongst all of that, because there were other names, but it all just, like Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, there were names on there, but
they were on the list too?
They were on the list too, but see, names like that, like I said, it was mostly on how they act, or the one thing they were like with Miley Cyrus, on how, she was one way because she was a child star, and then she just totally switched. So, she was actually somebody that said it was like in the Illuminati, because she totally changed. No, just when you're like owned by Disney for so many years, and you're just like this crazy psycho, so... Like I was ultimately going to say, how do we really know? These people sell their soul. Like, how do we really know it's that bad? Or if it's, I don't know, if it's even a thing. Like, they could all be partying and have some random guy come up and say, I'm Satan, I want your soul. And they're like, okay, you can have it. And then they think they're good, Like, it's just, you hear these stories. But that Robert Johnson, he is the number one. If you look it up and you put, like, sold soul to devil, sold their soul to the devil, like Robert Johnson is like the number one. I don't know what it is about him, but that, and again, Bob Dylan swears. So where it's coming from, why people are saying it, just like anything else, it all originates from somewhere. So are they really having a conversation with someone or doing this, or is it just belief, So it's definitely interesting. I mean, but there you go.
So just the whole list? Did you read through it?
Well, I did, but we're like running out of time now. But here, hold on real quick. I'll go through. Tommy Johnson, he was another blues person. Bob Dylan. I'll do Bob Dylan, because this is the whole reason I got into it. In 2016, Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. It was pretty much a surprise to everyone, except perhaps Bob. He explained in an interview, "It's a destiny thing. I made a devil's bargain, and I'm holding up my end." That seems pretty conclusive. It shouldn't have come as a surprise, though. Bob Dylan apparently died on July 25th of 1965. Coincidentally, that was the same day that he walked on stage at the Newport Folk Festival stage with an electric guitar. An electric guitar at a folk festival. To make it worse, he was accompanied by a rock band that launched into the decidedly unfolky rendition of his new song, "Like a Rolling Stone." It didn't go down well. So it will become no surprise that any of the tambourine-shaking, harmonica-blowing folk bands that Dylan had signed an unholy pact. So, again, situation, he just absolutely sucked, was booed, "You're no good," and then he claims, "Oh, I made a deal." Like, he was very open about it. So, again, it's interesting. It seems to be all musicians, There are a few celebrities out there who claim it, but like we discussed, are they actually speaking to somebody and making this deal, or are they part of a group like the Illuminati or whatever? Or again, is this just something like
or
Mike
are they
said,
just trying to look cool?
Are they just right? Is it just they're taking lyrics and being misinterpreted? So So my advice is, if somebody says you want to sell your soul, just try it. What can it hurt? Could be worse than its life, right? No. Anyway, so that pretty much does it for tonight. I'll tell you what, an hour goes fast compared to the 2 hours that we did last week. Even that went fast, but
yeah.
But anyway,
there's a lot more people here. So.
Well, yeah, that too. So, all right, yeah. So, don't forget to check us out on our Facebook, Paradelphia. Don't forget to check out Toxic Radio, all the shows, Toxic Radio app. And Mike, is there anything real quick that you need, anything going on new, or just everybody keep doing the same? And
just check our website, toxicradio.net, for the schedule. Download the Toxic Radio app for all the amazing shows. You can see them in the podcast area, and you'll see Paradelphia there, along with all of our other amazing content that we have for everybody. We got shows returning, like Rock Metal Radio, returning next week, and Hot Tea with Genevieve. Once a month, and trying to get her in here more often.
Well, she was, real quick, she had mentioned to me, she goes, "We should do a cross show, Paradelphia and Hot Tea with Genevieve." I'm like, usually you do that to promote shows, but you're part of Paradelphia, so what sense does that make?
I think what it should be is the kind of like Paradelphia on Hot Tea. I don't know.
Paradelphia on Hot Tea, that just sounds like we're getting hammered drunk like you tried to get.
I'm okay with that. I'm not going to disagree with you. I give that a thumbs up.
Well, those 2 shots I took last week was the most I drank.
You're
in like
still
5
drunk
years.
off them.
I am. But anyway, all right. So that about does us here for tonight. And just like I said, check us out on Facebook for all our updates. And until next time, for Taryn, this is Doug, and we're out of here.